Hey, wait for it. We're live. Okay, there we go. Nice.
Hey.
Hey, welcome to the Brutal Review podcast live thingy, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I'm Fancy Dan. That's Kev. Some really cheery splash art to start this week.
Yeah, we unfortunately have to start off on a pretty dang serious subject here.
Yeah.
So this one kind of rocked us pretty hard, I would say so, because as you guys know from the show, we are not only massive fans of this band Glory Hammer, but we are also huge Christopher Bose fans and have been fans of his work for almost a decade now. And so it really sucks to see such brutal accusations come down and see such a potentially nuclear situation happen with an artist that we cherish so hard. I mean, even just a few weeks ago, we were talking about his new band, Wizard Throne, and how much we love that album on the show.
Yeah, man.
So, like,
The most striking thing to me is you're using the present tense are. And I'm in this weird Schrodinger's cat state of flux where I don't know if I'm going to continue to be a fan, depending on how this all turns out. That's the strangest part to me. I've never experienced something that is like yes or no, and you don't know which, like, based entirely on the situation that we are seeing unfold right now.
Yeah. I mean, there are definite, like certain context clues and a lot of things surrounding this situation that unfortunately I think are pointing stronger to the negative side than the positive side. But either way, it's one of those things where it's like, what do you really do at this point?
Sure.
Like this same kind of thing happened like 3 or 4 years ago in the extreme metal world when the band Decapitated was arrested and they were like charged with like kidnapping and raping this woman on their bus.
Shit, man.
And it would put like, charges were dropped and like, everything was pushed off on that. But it's still just one of those things where it's like, what really happened and how do you really like continue from here? And, especially as years have gone on, and with the events that we've had in the world, especially, back with like the rise of the Me Too movement. And I've learned a lot from those days and from, hearing all these stories. I tend to side with the accusers first over the person that is accused. And I heard a really good point of it once where it's like, if you side with the accuser and you're wrong, you sided with a liar, okay, things happened, whatever, you go on. You side with the other person, you've sided with a rapist if the story comes true. It's a or a racist or an abuser, right, or, insert whatever.
Right.
Based on the situations.
Right. And before we get into this very weedy discussion, perhaps a little bit of context.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to tell you what I know, and you tell me if there's anything that I'm missing, please. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening on audio, what we're looking at is a Metal Sucks article from several days ago, which was published after Glory Hammer randomly dropped, probably 10 days into a tour that they just started, that they kicked.
It was just they had just done a performance at Bloodstock. There wasn't an actual tour yet, though.
Okay.
But they had played live 7 days prior.
Right. So they were still very active, and with promise of being active. That Glory Hammer kicked out their lead singer, Angus McFife the 13th, aka in real life Thomas Winkler, right? So so they just randomly kicked him out based on like business whatever, and they didn't really say much on their official statement on their Instagram, but Thomas comes out and is like, this was a shock, it came out of the clear blue sky, I don't know what's going on. They quoted some kind of business problem that they were having,
and it was all over an email too. They just emailed him telling him he was let go.
And I want to come back to that, so remind me of that specific thing. But since then, it seems like people have been wanting to deal both justified potentially and also well-strategized maximum damage to the band by releasing certain accusations of certain members' abuse towards various people, screenshotted group chats that involve like very, very poor taste racist language, like shock value type stuff.
Like blatant racial slurs,
Yeah, yeah,
blatantly sexist, misogynistic comments.
right,
Like, and this is just from a Twitter account that was called Glory Hammer Leaked Live Chat that
right.
started the day that it was announced that Thomas was let go.
Right. So that happens. Then all of the accusations come out almost immediately after it. And then within the past 2 days, they've released another statement basically saying, hey, we're not going to say anything until we deal with all this stuff, which wasn't an apology, mind you. That was the strange part. It was
This, and that was something that I think we both immediately noticed. And I copied the exact statement that I want to read out just because it really does highlight. One thing you'll notice in this statement is there is no denial of the allegations and subsequently no apology either.
right.
It says, to our fans and the wider metal community, we know that many of you have questions relating to Thomas's departure from the band and the allegations made and documentation recently circulated on social media concerning members of Glory Hammer. There are matters that need to be resolved arising from Thomas's departure. We also need to deal with all issues arising in relation to the very serious allegations made and documentation circulated. This will all take time, and we do not want to risk prejudicing the work that has to be done. We ask you to please bear with us. Dealing with this is taking all our time and energy. As a result, we do not intend to make any further statements on Thomas's departure or the allegations and documentation until all issues have been dealt with. We really appreciate your concern for us all, including Thomas, and request that you give us all privacy to resolve these issues during this difficult period. For this reason, and to prevent us from being distracted from what we need to do, we are turning the comments on this post off. That's another move I thought was interesting, that they turned off comments entirely.
Yes, I agree. One thing, though, that just came to mind is that an apology implies guilt, right?
Yes.
An apology implies that you know that you've done something wrong and that you're seeking to atone for it. So it might be a legal way of basically being like, hey, this might not have happened, but we still got to deal with it. But that said, it's very poor taste to come out with like all of this nonsense going on without a human response.
Yeah. And especially no denial. That's the big thing to me.
Like, right.
All of these past cases, there's always been denial of the fact. It's never just been, we need to take care of this.
Yeah.
Give us time. There's always been some kind of, we didn't do that, but we're going to make sure this all gets figured out. And that's been one of the weird things for me.
Right. I'm not on my phone just for no reason. I'm pulling up the thing that I sent you earlier today.
Yes.
So.
And
go ahead.
Continue.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say what he's referencing to is Jake from Aether Realm, who is also the vocalist of Wizard Throne, released a statement today. Did you want to read it?
Yeah, sure. So this is verbatim from, looks like his Facebook. Yeah. Vincent Jackson Jones. That's full name, whatever. I know a lot of my friends in the metal world have been looking to me to say something. This is 2 days late, and I've had a lump in my throat the whole time. I hope you'll understand that I've been spending all of my time outside of work speaking to everyone that's going to be affected and trying my best to chart the fairest course of action. I'm suspending my involvement with all projects, including Christopher Bowes. And we forgot to mention that Christopher was one of the ones that was pretty damn blatantly in the group chats, throwing shit out there.
Dropping the N-word. Was actually, if that was actually him, because again, it was leaked chat. It was all under, pseudonym names in the chat. But when the N-word was dropped, there was an immediate response of Chris.
Yeah.
So it's kind of damning. But continue, sorry.
Bands, tours, all of it. Chris is also my friend, and he has asked me for time to make his statement before I put him on blast. Chris, I can't get up on a stage and pretend my shit is all fine without getting this off my chest and saying what I need to say. Every moment that I wait is painful to me. It's painful to others, to your friends and fans that are looking to you for clarity in this situation. I know that it's also painful for you. I know that you want to do the right thing. I will give you as much time as I can bear. Please act with haste. Love you, Jake, says Megan Morey. So, the strange part to me, and, well, I shouldn't say strange, but the most compelling part to me is that Christopher Bowes, for context, is not only a part of Glory Hammer, he's a part of Ailstorm, he's a part of Wizard Throne, he's a part of a bunch of joke projects, all kind of under Napalm. and
Mm-hmm.
this dude who is with him for musical reasons and business reasons only is
Yeah.
like, okay, all of it, basically
Yeah.
4 bands just scrapped.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
So
I can't.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very rough because I mean, I've loved Ailstorm for a long time, and like it's one of those things where it's like if this is how Chris truly has been, and with all this turmoil, like these are bands that I can't support for the time being because it doesn't feel right continuing to give support, money, listens, whatever to, people that for better or worse have pushed some pretty negative actions.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm completely in your camp. There's a couple of
Mm-hmm.
other points that I kind of want to bring up that are compelling as well. This is more of like a murder mystery at this point to me than it is like a definite yes, no, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because you haven't heard from Thomas at all.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But the timing of it has led a couple of people to theorize that possibly the things that were dropped and leaked were from him to deal damage to the band. However, you'll also notice that if you're looking at some of the things that are said and done, they are refraining from speaking further about Thomas's departure, possibly to protect him,
Yeah.
which is an interesting point, implying that he might have left based entirely on behavior. And they're like, "Oh yeah, he was the best of us. We don't want him we don't want to be associated with him during this time." You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what's your
Yeah.
thought on that?
Yeah, I mean the leak the first thing that kicked it all off was a woman that claimed James Cartwright, the Hootsman, was her abuser and that she was in a long time relationship with him and that he was like, you know, a very emotionally abusive, didn't let her be herself, took every chance to like, degrade her, keep her from seeing friends, really just, like make her feel like she was insignificant kind of thing. And that was what really kicked this all up. And then it got followed with the leaked group chat. So like, I don't know. I wouldn't say that this is necessarily like all being triggered by Thomas to deal damage,
Oh yeah,
if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. I'm just saying that
So
was a
like,
theory that I
yeah,
read.
it's definitely a theory. But you might be onto something better in the other camp. But then again, I don't think they would have like if it's a purely because of business that they let him go. That seems like an interesting one, unless they like knew the heat was coming for them already, and so they severed ties. So I don't
Right,
know.
right.
It's for the
It,
time being, I just don't feel like I can support anything Chris Bowes related, and specifically Glory Hammer.
yeah, no, I kind of agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see where it goes in like a way that I'm interested to see the outcome of a murder trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I'm looking forward to it,
Mm-hmm.
but that said, this leads me to this further philosophical question before we get into the releases of the week,
Yeah.
because I don't think I've ever had this conversation with you, but it's one that we've always had in like whenever I was in film school.
Mm-hmm.
Separating the art from the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is very fresh. This is a very fresh wound to like talk about this with. But like for instance, Varg Vikernes, right?
Yep.
Killed a guy.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on this?
So a couple a couple years ago, my answer would have been completely different.
Mm,
In that, like, there definitely would have still been bands that I would not support for obvious reasons. Like perfect example, I had never listened to Lost Prophets before, but when, all the stuff came out about Ian Watkins being like a child molester, it's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to listen to that fucking band,
yeah,
like we're good,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but like, either way, there, because obviously I used to be a massive Butterson fan.
Hmm.
Another one was As I Lay Dying. When the revival happened, I was big on the new album for a while, and it was definitely one of those things of like, oh well, he went to jail, he spent a few years in prison, he's back, he's trying to better himself, like he deserves a good chance. But I think there's a certain point where you still can't completely separate the artist from the art. Um, Again, Finn McKenty, someone I talk about a lot, the punk rock MBA.
Yep.
He talked about this recently, and he even brought up the As I Lay Dying one, and like, oh, he served his time, whatever. But he's like, but at the same time, you still have to think about, how would you feel if you were the family member of that woman, and if best case, or worst case scenario, this dude had succeeded in what he planned out, your daughter, your sister, your grand whatever would now be dead.
Yeah.
And then you see this guy spend a couple years in jail, and then all these people act like nothing ever happened, and he's touring the world again.
Yeah.
Like, how would that really make you feel, seeing that kind of thing happen? And I feel like there's a certain point where the art is what the person gets the money from. It's what, is their work, their passion, and supporting, still listening to the music, still watching movies, still like doing whatever with people that have done some serious shit. It just doesn't feel morally right, in my opinion.
Well,
because you're still propping this person up.
Yeah, no, for real. It's support in one way or another of a person who is heinous, That was always my stance, because the big one for all of the artsy film kids was Roman Polanski, who is arguably a genius filmmaker. Like he is a dude who puts together very good stuff, technically good stuff, right? But he's also banned from several European countries for child molestation.
Yep.
And if you go back in his history, it's probably based on trauma, because I don't know if you knew this, but you probably did. He was the husband of Sharon Tate, who was pregnant and killed by the Manson family.
Right.
Yeah, he's just embroiled in Hollywood history. He is a figure in basically American culture, right? The subject of a hardcore tragedy turned into a strange figure, right? But like that's the prime example of people who are like, yeah, he did this and this and this, but it's because of this and this and this, and therefore it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
He's still a fucking child molester now. Like, it doesn't matter what got him there.
Yeah, and that said, I've never seen a Polanski movie because I don't want to support him, right? So depending on how this comes out, and it's interesting to witness something like this in the making, because we were fans in the before times. We're kind of I'm kind of in flux now, even though I'm probably not going to be listening in the interim. And then I'm waiting to see if everyone that we were once like partying at Renfest to their soundtrack is going to be the villains of the metal world, Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah, it's unfortunately not the first time that I've had to drop a band because of stuff like this. It just sucks that it was one that was such a big part for so long, but all the same, I won't support it if it, all does come out to be true.
Yeah, well, that's because we have the right opinions, and we know what we're talking about, and nobody else does. So there you go. Woo! Right. Also, we always have Rumahoy as an alternate pirate band, which I've never actually listened to, but hey.
Rumahoy, Swashbuckler. There are some other pirate bands out there that we can get down with.
If you want to read more on this, the Metal Sucks article is the thing that basically kicked it all off, and we'll be following up with updates as they come out. That said, we've got 4 releases, none of which, well, I take that back. I knew about the Between the Buried and Me. But Ginger is a surprise to both of us because you have not listened to this yet, right? That'll be at the end of the episode. We'll listen to it.
That's going to be an upcoming release. But so for now, we're getting into the goods of the past week.
Nice. Let's do it.
So starting things off, this one was a long-awaited one for me. The Olympia Boys, Wolves in the Throne Room.
The Olympia Boys.
Our nice little taste of American black metal. This is their 7th studio album out on Relapse Records, Primordial Arcana.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And this was fantastic. It definitely was everything I was waiting for. They've always been a very, very atmospheric black metal band, and that 100% continued. There is a lot of just like slow vibes, just building and building, like even with it being like, blast beady parts, it still doesn't feel like as like in your face and like overly aggressive as like a lot of other black metal. It just really brings that like nice atmospheric level. It's really good for just like throw it on, sit back, sit outside, chill in nature, just do whatever you want to do and just vibe with some good metal, because
Nice.
that's, what they go for.
Yeah, and it's it's interesting that you're just like, yeah, go sit outside and just vibe to
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the thing that I've noticed about a lot of more recent black metal is that it has that quality to it. It's not as like Transylvanian hunger, as people
Yeah.
think that it is. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
more,
exactly. Like,
yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it. This is Primal Chasm, aka the Gift of Fire. Here we go. From the top, or should we go to anywhere specific?
Just splash it, boy.
Let's do it. Ooh.
Like, you'll even see what I mean, where it's like it's heavy, but it's not like.
Okay, I've got three thoughts before we continue. The
Go on.
first, if you want to trigger my lizard brain immediately, show me a sword being forged.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that that's like the easiest hack to make a lot of people just go ooh and like
shiny.
get excited about it.
Yep.
Number two, I love how they've made the beach black metal and actually got
Oh, yeah.
away with it, because I remember there was like that joke video a long time ago of like the desert. I don't know if you recall
Yeah.
this or not, but it was like a bunch of dudes in corpse paint running around like New Mexico or something. Do you remember this? Oh my God, I need to find
I'm
this
trying
and
to
send it
think
to you.
of that.
Yeah, they were like all of the lyrics of the song were talking about how forests are too nice and we need to go to the most deadly environment.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
three, I know, yeah, again, the atmospheric aspect of it, right?
Hmm.
It's almost droney, They've
Yeah.
they've kind of melded everything together into like a solid flow of black metalness instead of it
Mhm.
just being aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said these guys are
Very
from
much.
Olympia?
Yeah, they're from Olympia, Washington.
Okay. Yeah, is that a big black metal scene, would you say? I know that there's some coming from like uh
Uh, kind of. I wouldn't say it's huge, but there are a couple bands I can think of that were Washington in general.
yeah.
But I mean, it also paves to it with how much the Washington forest line is a lot like the Norwegian. It kind of feels like a similar vibe, just less snow.
Yeah, if you got pine trees, we're gonna be mad about
Yeah.
it. No, so yeah, I mean, I'm liking this so far, man.
Hmm. Hmm.
What else? What else you got for me? Anything good about Wolves in the Throne Room? Like,
Um, I mean, kind of said what needs to be said already. Like, I just feel it again. They're a band that never really strays too far from their path and what they do, and it's just they just always drop really solid like atmospheric black metal, and this is just another great release in their catalog. It
nice.
just, I've spun it a couple times now, and like the other day, I just sat out on my back patio and just jammed it. and it was
Nice.
nice.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, this sounds like something that I would listen to if it's like pouring rain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It definitely fits that vibe.
the fact that they shot this on a beach is the most
Yeah.
compelling part. Yeah, not a towel in sight.
Yep.
Yeah, nice, dude. Wolves in the Throne
Mhm.
Room. We subbed
Yep.
on our channel. You should sub on yours. I'm going to be listening to these guys here
Yep.
in a bit whenever the mood strikes me. So,
Excellent.
nice, dude.
Excellent.
Next up, you know it.
missed my middle one.
Oh, shit. Hang
You
on.
fucking
Whee!
scrub.
There we go. How's that?
Yes.
Did you see,
Thank you.
you didn't even see that transition. That's how good that was. Nice.
Flawless. Flawless. So here we are. It's finally here. We talked about this in our upcoming releases one last month. This is our brand new Deaf Heaven album, Infinite Granite, their 5th studio album out on Sargent House. Now, this one has been very interesting. And I think it's kind of funny because like Deaf Heaven is already a very polarizing band in the metal community. You know, the black metal nerds hate them because they take the black metal sound and do something so different, and they've been called like hipster black metalists and like for years. And now this new one is almost a complete departure from being metal at all. Like they went in a whole new direction with this new album. They said, like as we kind of showed when we were doing the last time, I talked about how they said that when they were writing this album, they just were instantly drawn to the kind of like softer parts like they had done on Ordinary Corrupt Human Love. And that was what just felt natural to them. And they didn't find themselves jumping into wanting to do anything heavy, to the point that they said trying to write heavy would have actually felt forced for them.
Right.
And that they just roll with this, enough so that George Clark actually learned how to clean sing just for this album so that his vocals would better match the music that was being played.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's almost 0 screams on the entire album. There's like 1 or 2 parts where there's a little bit of scream here and there, which I honestly wish they would have done a little bit more in the album, because even though there weren't like tremolo blast beaty parts that like you usually expect from Deaf Heaven, there were a couple parts on the album where I felt like just a little bit like screaming on top of the riffs that were currently there would have opened up a little more dynamics. Because like I really enjoy this album and I really enjoy the direction they took, but I also felt like a lot of the album felt the same throughout.
Okay.
And I felt like there wasn't enough dynamic changes going on, especially since they do a lot of dynamic changes normally throughout the songs.
The clean vocal part stuck out to me. That's interesting that he basically had to go the opposite direction that everybody else did in order to fit the aesthetic that was naturally coming from the song. You know, that's strange. That's a strange thing.
He said it was almost like learning a whole new instrument because he had always done, black metal scream vocals.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you've seen this person on YouTube. I need to look up her name, but it's basically like a traditional opera teacher who listens to like things like Judas Priest and like rates them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know who I'm talking
Interesting.
about. But she's like basically reviewing things that metalheads know and she doesn't, and she's just like, oh, this is very impressive because of this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's basically the opposite of that, right?
Yeah.
And another thought. So the genre thing. I'm gonna listen to this before I think about this, but the all of the black metal nerds having a problem because they basically have taken a genre and done something with it.
Yeah. I think it's because they, black metal especially, they're, we are so evil in darkness and this is a super serious, heavy genre.
Yeah.
And then they'd go like with like shoegazy elements and like bring with some of their riffs almost like a happy sound to it.
True.
And so then all of the nerds are like, oh Satan.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty allergic to that.
Yeah.
Just personally. The only time that I've done it was because the name of the genre that was being ascribed to the person didn't make any sense. Okay, and for me it was James Blake. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. He's like a pseudo electronic artist.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of did stuff like mid 2010s. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
they were calling him post dubstep, but you would never in your life listen to the things that he was doing and be like, oh yeah, that sounds like Skrillex. This sounds like what
Yeah.
Skrillex would be. And for some reason, just all of these Pitchforks critics were just like, dude, this is post dubstep, and I do not ever understand why. And that was the only time that I've ever had this reaction. But
Yeah.
the fact that a whole genre fan base is now going
Yeah.
to this, you know. Anyway, I said that I would wait until after we listened to it, and now I'm already
Yeah.
getting into it. I'm already getting into it.
How fucking dare you? Either way, album was very good. I've spun it like 3 or 4 times already. Big fan. I think it still very much sounds like Deaf Heaven, even if it's not metal. Like if you would have just like if you would have shown me this, I could still see how it was Deaf Heaven.
Gotcha.
So
okay, well, I'm interested to listen. Here we go.
yeah.
This sounds like the Killers. Yeah. I could see how if you were heavily entrenched in what these guys used to do compared to this would be a shock, you know? At least the genre that they're kind of prescribed to. But the only thing that's sticking out to me is like emblematic of a genre that is any kind of metal is just the lower guitar tone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's nothing else about this that strikes me as like, you know.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely probably wouldn't actually call this a metal record. They've definitely, I think with this record moved past metal and went more just into kind of like a post-rock setting, even like getting more on the shoegazy side, like this almost kind of sounds like, like fucking The Cure or Joy Division kind of shit, like
yeah
maybe even the Smiths, that kind of area, but like in a new vibe. And what I do think's interesting with that is they still keep the more intense drums. Like there's not the blast beats, but I feel like if you listen to the drums, there's still a lot of fills and like crazy cymbal work, and just it still keeps that aspect to it. And like this does match with a lot of the slower, softer parts that Deaf Heaven have done, especially on like the last 2 records. So I think it's still, like I said, in the mold of Deaf Heaven.
Yeah.
Just not a metal album. And I think the people that are big Deaf Heaven fans, like myself, have always understood that they're not just a traditional black metal band and appreciate the soft stuff.
Yeah.
So like I've actually seen almost nothing but positive comments, which, it's usually pretty rare when bands drop into sounding like this. A lot of times you'll see a lot of huge haters. But if you even just look at a lot of those comments there, everyone's like, fuck yeah, this is great. Like, I'm so on board. If they want to do this, this is cool. And it's like almost rare to see that happen. And I feel like everyone I know who's listened to this that has been a longtime Deaf Heaven fan appreciates this, because I think most of us understand that Deaf Heaven was more than just like blast beats and screams, like
It's almost like the Incubus trajectory, right? If you've ever listened to Science or like A Certain Shade of Green or something like
God, I
that,
love Science.
yeah, exactly. It sounds like a
Yeah.
completely different band than what everybody knows Incubus to be.
Yep.
And it's just because they've had a certain trajectory, and it turned out that people liked the other thing more, so they just started doing that. So
Yep.
hopefully, Deaf Heaven finds like the next level, just purely based on not necessarily their selling out and changing of stuff, as some people would put it, but because of their musical explanation or exploration,
Yeah.
So,
and I'm going to be really curious to see, because like one thing I noticed was that they played Psycho Las Vegas last weekend.
yeah.
And at the Psycho Las Vegas show, they didn't do any of the new material and just played like heavy Deaf Heaven songs. And part of me wonders like maybe they were just doing that for the metal festival or whatever. But they are doing a tour next year for this album. And I'm hoping what it's going to be is a good mix of the old and new.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping that they don't do like a lot of bands when they completely shift styles, where they do almost nothing old and just do everything of the new style. So I'm just hoping that there it's not going to be a complete like flip forever on Deaf Heaven.
Right. Well, we shall see.
Mm-hmm. And like even if you, just to my point, if you skip to like the last like 45 seconds of the song, you'll see that it does like ramp up more, and there's like a tiny bit of like screaming, and I feel
Yeah, I mean it's there. It's definitely there, but it's not as like, okay, 5 seconds of silence. It's more this slow ramp up. Okay, we've reached like this compression, this like sort of convergence of all of the different stuff. Yeah, man. Either way, I dig it personally, but I see why. If these guys are considered a certain genre and you were a fan of the genre as a whole, that you would not consider this that genre. I see that. I totally get it. It's still good. So, yeah, man.
Yeah. Very excited.
Yeah, dude. Me too.
Yeah.
Let's move on. The
album
boys
of the week, potentially of the month, potentially of the year. Holy shit.
Really, of the year for you. That's a big statement coming from Kev.
So this is awesome for a lot of reasons. And one of the big things is this is Colors 2. Between the Barrett and Me, the Mad Fucking Lads did a sequel to their most famous album, Colors. And I really, really appreciate this for multiple aspects. One, they did a bunch of callbacks to the original album. There's multiple, like, I feel like how they started the album, how it kind of progresses through there with some of the music, especially the final song on the album is 15 minutes, which is the same that the eponymous White Walls is, the closing track of Colors. It even follows a similar song structure as White Walls. Like, as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, they were very clearly making this sound like White Walls, but a totally unique song in the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah. They do a lot of lyric callbacks. They,
So it's like a legit sequel. It's not just like putting the name on it. And
yeah,
like hoping for the best.
It's not like they just slapped Colors 2 on it for the sake of it. They actually kind of tied it back into the first album. They started it in like a similar way with an open piano, soft spot, like just, Thomas singing and playing. Same way as Colors. It ramps up, it gets super heavy, it transitions through multiple like different weird songs with a lot of that give and take, like what was on the original Colors. Very BT Bam. There's lyrical callbacks to like Shut Out the Closed Off Circle, talking about like the lyrics that are in Ants of the Sky. There's a lot of like different callbacks to those, while also being a very fresh, unique record at the same time too. So they managed to like, it's not like they just completely rehashed Colors and called it a day. They still brought in new unique elements. Like this song Fix the Error was a very unique, cool BT Bam song, but it still feels like Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I love concept albums, and I love sequels to concept albums. And I mean, I wouldn't consider Colors necessarily a concept, but it's cool that they've essentially carried elements over. That's very compelling to me. That's super cool. Because it implies a level of artistry beyond just being a good musician, if that makes any sense. You know?
No, I very much agree. And it made it really, really cool. Like, as someone who has listened to Colors, God knows how many fucking times now, you know, I've been listening to that album since the, you know, late 2000s, and it's been on rotation so much. Like, it was really, really fun listening to this album. And with each listen, I pick up more and more and kind of like hear some more of the callbacks. But then, like I said, it's also a very fresh new album for Between the Buried and Me. And they're always experimenting and trying new things and bringing stuff in, including like in this song where there's a fucking drum solo section where there's 3 guest drummers doing drum solos, then Blake does a drum solo on it, so it's just like a minute of drum soloing going off. So like
we must listen to that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, from the top, or should we just skip to the triple drum solo?
Dude, just, you know what? Fuck if we get hit with a DMCA. Just, you got to listen to this song.
You know,
it's
we always do.
Yeah.
We always do. But
yeah, like, god damn, this song's awesome.
Here we go.
And I love the video.
Oh, yeah. Did you get all that?
Yes, mate.
That was very good.
Yeah.
That was very good. Excellent music video. Holy shit.
Right.
Holy shit. Oh my god. And, you know, just like you said, classic BTVM, like callbacks. I'm not even like a huge colors aficionado, but even then, like the bits that I heard that were like, okay, we're reaching for it, you know. It was sick.
Yep. They really bring it together, dude.
Super sick, dude.
God, that double lead part where Paul and Dusty are playing two different leads simultaneously, and it just fucking melds so perfectly. I was like, holy shit. Like, that takes a lot right there. Like, that was
sick. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
LVC. LVC.
Excuse me while I throw her out of here. Hang on.
Yep. Uh-oh. It's just a cat stream. That's
but yeah,
we've become.
What? Oh,
it's just what we've become.
Son of a bitch. So, yeah, thoughts. I think the music video was perhaps the best way they could have gone about that. Like, I love the contrast of like weird punk cartoon stuff to the actual like sort of message of things that they're trying to get at, you know.
Yeah, like topple the fucking king, you know, don't doom scroll all day.
Right, but it's also funny to watch, you know. It's almost like they're poking fun at the serious thing that they are poking fun at society at, you know. It's like a double layer of ridiculousness. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad, dude. And that's just one aspect of it. Like, the whole album is a fucking good ride all the way through. And like I said, there are things that you will just totally pick up on and like call back, and especially like strongly, since you may not know the song as well as I do, because I've listened to White Walls so many fucking times that I know that song like front to back. But do it where let me look this up again so that I get you the right song name. But listen. Oh, what the heck? I gotta find it. You gotta listen to the final song on Colors too.
Okay.
And then or listen to White Walls first, and then go listen to the second song on Colors too.
Okay.
Sorry, the final song on Colors too. And I swear you'll totally see what I mean, where they definitely made it to sound exactly or like follow the same song structure as White Walls. The last song is Human as Hell, another one with love.
Okay.
If you like listen to White Walls, then listen to that and you'll see exactly what I mean, how they did like a really good job of like following the structure of White Walls but making it its own unique song at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop a weird thing that was presented, and before we get to the last song, we've only got one more song left on the docket, and that's an upcoming release. But a weird thing that was presented at my place of work that is like considered basically a hack for good art. Okay, and consider this. It might be like one of these things that kind of peels back a layer of reality for some people. But, I mean, for me, it's just a cool, like, little rule. If you want to successfully create something, like, seen as creative and impressive, you need a high degree of divergence, a specific moment of convergence, and what is called a third gravitating body, in the sense of, like, a third aspect of interest that's outside of just, oh, that's cool, you know. Yeah, and I feel
something that really like adds that extra spice into it.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like BT Bam does that a lot, and you witnessed it within this song. Is like, you know, so the high degree of divergence is like just the sheer amount of nonsense going on. The specific amount, or the specific moment of convergence, comes near the end whenever they have the Illuminati moment, and like the double lead, as you mentioned. Third gravitating body, just the multiple drummer section, like holy shit, you know what I mean? It's cool. It's just cool. So, and once you start to look for that stuff, it's like, it's clear that it happens a lot. So,
I don't know if you realized, but the first two drummers, first one was Mike Portnoy.
Yep.
Second one was Naveen Copperweiss, formerly of Animals' Leaders and then of Entheos fame.
Okay, I don't know him.
So we've seen Entheos live a few times at, the various Hudang and Independence Fests.
True.
But yeah.
I mean, I don't know him by name is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. But yeah, so they got some good dudes for that. But yeah, that just insane, just drum off.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. One last little video here. Yep. We got the new Ginger, which you haven't even listened to.
No, more Ginger. This single dropped yesterday. I had not checked it out yet. Shout out to, as always, our lovely Napalm Records. We love you, boys and boys and girls. I don't know for sure who's behind Napalm, but shout out. And the new album drops tomorrow, so we'll get this little nice taste of Ginger and Wallflower, and then we'll get the whole damn thing tomorrow.
Really? Now, okay, the whole damn thing. That's the way to do it, man. Like the people that release something in January for something that's coming out in August. I mean, come on, get your shit together. Release it the day before.
Exactly. Like, I think this is the third single, but either way, it's nice that it's just like, mwah, here you go.
It's right there. Nice. Yeah. All right, here we go. So, Wallflower. We'll take a listen together for the first time.
Let's give it a banger. Interesting. This is like the Schindler's List shit, where it's only the red is being shown. That bass already.
That was an escalation.
Yeah. For those who are on audio, she pulled out some fucking Uzis out of nowhere.
Turning molehills into mountains, I feel the pressure building. Should I just go on or jump over the wall and say hello to the sick world? I gotta go home, my batteries are low. This life is a lockdown. I gotta go home, my batteries are low. That's what it's all about. This life is a lockdown. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
God damn. I
But we still got.
love.
Oh no, never mind. I thought we were gonna have like another minute of like John Wicking these dudes. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Dude.
I love how fucking diverse this band is.
Yeah.
Like, they are such good musicians. It's ridiculous.
That's kind of exactly what I was thinking during the ramp up. You know, the first part was very low key, proggy, musician-y, right? And that's, I mean, I know that they're capable of that, but that's not what I associate with Ginger, at least from what you've shown me. So, yeah.
Yeah. It really didn't ever feel, you know, like, obviously with like Pisces, you know, the other famous one, it starts off in a similarly chill point, but there's that one point where it just, you know, bah, 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 and it just slams in out of nowhere. Whereas like this one, it felt like everything was slowly building up and it never felt abrupt. Like when it got to the point that Tatiana actually started screaming, it like really made sense. It was like it was a natural rise the whole time, and it was never like, and this is the heavy part. It was like, we've made it here, the train hit the destination.
Yes,
you know, like,
yes. Natural is the best way that I could put that. Yeah, like you said. Yeah, dude, that was great. And as always, Napalm putting the budget into the music videos as you need to do. You need to do.
Music videos are promotional tools. Make a fucking good promo. Don't just have some dudes in a warehouse the whole time.
I mean, or do, but make it look cool, you know? I mean, come on.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah. You can't have a woman with a tattooed mandala on her throat and not make a good music video with her. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, man, looking forward to the release tomorrow. As you know, Ginger's great, and Kev's very biased, but that's just because he thinks she's hot. So, you know.
That's the only reason. 100%.
Yeah, no. Guys, thank you for sticking around with us. If it's okay with you, Kev, I think I'm going to clip that first part. And not necessarily cut it, but clip it, and, you know, maybe post it to the Glory Hammer subreddit, see what the people have to say about it.
Do what you want to do, my dude.
Let's
make it go.
You know, I'm not trying to stir the shit pot or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it's a decent conversation that's worth having, especially in this time. You know, art versus artist.
Agreed.
Who are you going to support? Because your support means a lot. If you're giving it to tools and dickholes, then it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? So support who you need to. That's my message. Anything else you want to say to the people?
Just thank you as always, and hope you guys appreciate the good jams.
Yes. Ginger, Between the Buried and Me. This week you got some good stuff to listen to. And yeah, we'll probably catch you next week, if not the week after. Actually, next week we're going to another show, right?
Next Saturday, Coheed and Cambria.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's try to record a little bit before that or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if not, then we should just pirate the show on our iPhones. Because technology.
Give it to y'all for free.
No, we will not do that. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Later, guys.
All right. Take it easy.
Yeah. Cool.